Hello, I would like to show you the simple DIY high tunnel greenhouse we have built. Hi, this is Dr. Bob. Thanks for joining my channel. I specialize in hobby greenhouses and simple ways to grow plants. This hobby greenhouse has been a family project to grow plants for food and enjoyment. We needed a simple, inexpensive, functional greenhouse that was as sustainable as possible. It also had to be sturdy enough to tolerate wind and snow because we live in hardiness zone 6B with hot summers and cool to cold winters and the prevalence of a late spring frost. We decided that heat and electricity would not be available for the greenhouse because of the cost. The greenhouse would be built for spring, summer, and fall growing conditions. We decided to build a high tunnel greenhouse that was 20 feet wide and 40 feet long because they are the simplest and cheapest to build and operate. We would use a single layer of polyethylene film for the roof. The end walls would be window screened for natural ventilation and pest exclusion. We would exclude all the large insects, birds, deer, coyotes, raccoons, opossums, etc. In addition, we would set up lights in the basement for seed germination. Most materials were purchased at Lowe's and Home Depot. We purchased a bending jig for the greenhouse bows from Bootstrap Farmer and purchased the greenhouse poly from Waldo and Associates. A rototiller was used to kill the grass on the greenhouse site, and we covered the ground with a heavy-duty landscape fabric. I set up strings to get the walls square and marked the location for each of the sidewall posts on 4-foot centers. We used a fence post driver to drive 4-foot and 5-foot posts into the ground about 2 feet deep. A 1x6-inch pressure-treated board was attached to the top of the sidewall posts, and the bows would fit into the post for about 6 inches. Corrugated vinyl roofing was used as a sidewall. It went into the ground for a few inches. We weren't in a hurry to build the structure, but we did want to plant blueberries, peaches, and raspberries as soon as possible. Later in the fall, we made progress on the end walls. All the posts were connected to concrete piers to strengthen the structure. The peaches, blueberries, and raspberries, and the new strawberries were growing well in the spring as the weather warmed. We applied a standard window screen to the inside surface of the end walls. It was stapled in place and then covered with plastic lath. At the same time, the end walls were finished with wiggle wire for the installation of the single layer of polyethylene. After installation, we ran a rope in a zigzag pattern across the greenhouse to hold the polyethylene cover in place during high winds. The high tunnel greenhouse is now enclosed to protect the plants from the diseases caused by rain and dew, and protected from birds, almost all insects, raccoons, deer, etc. You may wonder about pollinators. This is not an issue for these plants, regardless of what you have heard. These and most other garden plants are primarily wind pollinated. We have had normal pollination with these plants, plus tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, etc., even though the greenhouse ventilation is enclosed by screen. We cannot grow squash, cucumbers, and pumpkins without pollinators, however. Flowers on the peaches and blueberries started the next spring. I pruned the peaches during flowering so I could keep the most flowers. Fruit set was quite good on the peaches. By mid-July, the peaches needed to be pruned again. There was so much growth in the greenhouse that fruit would not be able to get enough sun for normal fruit development and coloring. In a month, the peaches were pruned again, so the fruit would color normally. The raspberries were tall, really too tall for the greenhouse, but they could not be pruned because new flowers will appear in September. Picking and eating peaches from a greenhouse was great. Unfortunately, we decided the peaches and raspberries required too much space, so the peaches were removed and the raspberries were moved outside in the garden. Summer greenhouse temperatures were hot, but the plants tolerated them in general. We decided that shade was needed on the greenhouse to better manage the summer temperatures. We decided on two approaches: shade cloth on the inside and diluted latex paint on the outside. A 40% shade cloth was installed inside between the plastic cover and the bows of the greenhouse. The shade cloth stays up year-round. It does not have to be removed because of winter snow and ice like an exterior installation. Diluted latex paint was sprayed on the outside of the plastic cover. I purchased the cheapest white latex paint, diluted it with water, about 1 part paint to 5 parts water. I applied it with a utility spray bottle. It took about an hour to apply and used about half a gallon of paint. The latex paint was removed by rain by late fall, so apply it each year. Both methods help control the summer temperatures inside. Thanks for watching this video about our family greenhouse. I hope I've offered some tips that you can use in your greenhouse.